can do this.
I was hoping the teachers would.
Yeah.
I'm on Medicare and I'm having a hard time.
Yep.
Hello here.
I just want to ask one question. My daughter's getting out of school. I saved all my money. She doesn't have any student loans.
Public.
Am I going to get my money back?
Of course not.
So you're going to pay for people who didn't save any money, and those of us that did the right thing get screwed.
No, it's not anybody got screwed. When we
Of
started,
course we did. My buddy had fun, bought a car, went on vacations. I saved my money. He made more than I did. But I worked a double shift, worked extra. My daughter's worksheet is 10. So you're laughing. Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. We did the right thing, and we get screwed.
I appreciate
That's
it.
all right.
So I understand that American leftists consider the current system of student debt to be very oppressive, and the solution for it is for the government to erase the debt. So my question has to be, what happens with the future generations? Because you're not talking about abolishing the system, you're not talking about changing the system, you're talking about abolishing the debt. Now, I don't really understand why the debt needs to be abolished, given the fact that the people who went at universities signed a contract and they were mature adults when they signed the contract. But nevertheless, I understand that their debt needs to be forgiven because reasons. So my question is, like, the future generations that are also going to get into debt, what is the solution for them? My second question is, how do you punish imbeciles? Like, for example, if you have a person which wants to do a university and it costs him, I don't know, $70,000. But the bank allows him to make a loan of $100,000. So he actually gets the maximum amount. And then he goes partying, goes on vacations, and finds it difficult to return the money that he got. In my opinion, that's an imbecile. How do you punish him? Should people not be responsible for their own actions? Only children and mentally deficient people cannot be held responsible for their own actions. So my question is, these individuals that make loans without the ability of repaying them, which category do they fit in? Another question that I have to ask, and this is something that I have asked previously, is why do people go to university? And in most cases, it's not to learn a job, because there are many other ways that you can learn a job in 2022. For example, instead of going to art school, you can just hire an arts professor to teach you how to do art. You can learn by yourself by going on the internet. You can go to other courses. There are a multitude of ways that you can learn without going to a university. So why do people do it? Well, people go to a university for the license, because in most companies, the HR department is not going to consider you unless you have the correct genetics and the correct pedigree to fit into their identity politics requirements, as well as having a license to prove that you studied somewhere important. So that is the first reason. The second reason is to network. So you get to make the connections. You get to know other people from the field that you're going to be working in, and it's going to be easier for you to get a job in the future. Now, if you say you can't pay the student debt, how about this? How about you lose your license? It's kind of like getting a buyback. You buy a vacuum cleaner that you're not happy with, you take it back to the store, you get your money back. So in this situation, if you choose to get your student debt refunded, you should lose your right to practice. You should lose your license. In other words, if you look for a job and you file the paperwork and you write on your resume that you actually finished the university, that should be a crime if you decided to get your student loan refunded. So it should be like perjury, like lying under oath. There should be a specific crime for people who say that they finished the university if they decided to sign a paper where they get their money back. So how about that? Would you be okay with that? Because you still get the networking aspect. You still manage to make relationships with people, and you still manage to make a lot of friends. However, just like refunding a vacuum cleaner, you're not going to be able to vacuum with that particular appliance anymore because you're unsatisfied, right? So what about that system? The answer is, of course, the leftists will not like that system Because what this is about is buying votes. Like, you want the government to do wealth redistribution from the working class, from the poor, from the other people that were sensitive and knew how to manage their finances. Now they have to pay for the people that didn't. And what's interesting is that it's not the universities that are being held responsible. Notice that. I mean, the whole purpose of a university is to train people on how to get a career. And apparently they failed at it so colossally to the point where now you have hundreds of thousands of people who can't find a job and they're under debt. So for some reason, the universities don't have any responsibilities. Like, the universities, when they noticed that the government is willing to lend people money, they raised the prices. They hired people to teach absolute fucking garbage, like being a master at lesbian dance therapy, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure it's a very pivotal career for human development. I mean, I can't imagine a country that can function without experts into lesbian dance therapy. However, reality shows that there might be a little bit too many of those people. There might be just a little bit too much, to the point where the economy can't integrate them into working jobs. So now you have the problem because all of these people are complaining. So what do the politicians do? The politicians are literally buying votes. Elizabeth Warren, in my opinion, is one of the smartest economists that the United States has right now. Unironically, I read parts of her book. For example, she talks about something that even right-wing economists don't talk about, that America witnessed a turning point in the moment where a household with one income couldn't afford to keep a family. Like, there used to be a time in the United States where one income in one household could afford to keep a family healthy and happy. And the turning point is when that is no longer possible. So she talks about how difficult it is for a lot of parents to be unable to see their children. Like, this is one of the biggest desires probably that the United States citizens have. They want to see their kids more, but they can't because they have to go to work. They have to work overtime. Right? So this is something that she notices, and a lot of people, a lot of other economists don't talk about. So I have a lot of respect. I think she's a smart woman. You know, despite of what she says on camera when she reads it from a script and the nonsense that she talks because she's in the Democratic Party, I do think she is a smart woman that manages to cling to power. And I do think that what she is saying right here is something that she is very aware of. She is buying votes. Like, you are actually giving money to people so that they vote for you. Simple as. There is no other way about it. Now, you can judge the efficacy of this. You can judge the moral conundrum of this. I personally think it's disgusting, and I definitely think that it's unhealthy for the economy of a nation. Like, if right-wingers start doing the same, if left-leaning people keep expanding this concept to other programs, it's going to fuck up your nation's economy in the long run. There's no other way around it. Like, you're rewarding irresponsibility, which means you're promoting irresponsibility. In order to pay for these programs, you're going to have to tax people more, which is probably why they hired an army of IRS agents and gave some of them a gun, which only 2 weeks ago, the same Democratic Party was saying that guns are weapons of war. So I ask you, what does it mean when they're giving guns to the IRS? You're going to tax people more, you're going to cause higher inflation, you're going to print more money, and eventually the only solution for people is going to be to constantly vote the same corrupt people that did this in order for them to give you a little bit of a handout. Like maybe a couple of pennies while they get rich. Okay, is this what the left stands for now? Is this what left-leaning ideology is all about? Put rich people into power? Like, put the people that have private jets and fly around the world while lecturing you about turning off your air conditioning? And you keep electing these people so that they can keep making sure that you're not going to be independent, that you're not going to be able to have a job? Unless you get handouts? Or if you do have a job, the money you get is going to be almost gone because you keep getting taxed and the inflation is so high that your money is worthless? Is this it? probably this is it. I guess this is what people want, right? Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.